Let's get amongst it now. Let's log into office.com. Let's take a look at the Office 365 portal and jump into OneDrive for Business. Okay, if you tuned into one of my Office 365 Webinar Wednesday presentations in the past, you know that I do like to start here on the Office 365 portal. And that's accomplished by going to office.com in the browser of your choice and logging on with your Office 365 username and password. Now, the reason why I want to start here again today is quite important, as we do have recommended, recent, pinned, shared with me, and a discover section. These are all documents that are actually pulling from our OneDrive. So you can see we edited this file 9 minutes ago. We edited another one here 17 minutes ago. So we can see at a glance, not only do we see all of the apps that we have access to as part of our Office 365 subscription, Office 365 is also doing some intelligent things here and trying to recommend some documents for us here to view. So aside from that, let's jump right into OneDrive. We'll just click on the OneDrive icon. And if you want to build sort of some muscle memory, it is the one that is shaped like a cloud. And here we are brought right into the OneDrive Web Interface. So quite familiar if you're used to using File Explorer in Windows. I'm going to go just do a quick walkthrough here of the interface to familiarize you with some of the key areas. So down the left-hand column here, we do have our main files list. We have a list of recent documents. We can see now what we've shared with our colleagues, shared with you or shared by you. We also have our recycle bin, so if you do delete something, rest assured that there are retention policies you can create. And we also have our shared libraries here, and this is an interesting tie into the rest of the Office 365 suite. If you are using Microsoft Teams, and if you are a member of a team, that team here will show on your shared libraries in OneDrive. So you may not be in the Teams app, you might not sort of have that right in front of you, but if you do need to get to a document here, or if you want to move files around into a team, you can do that here in the OneDrive interface. As well, if you belong to a group in Office 365, that will show here under your shared libraries. As well, very bottom here of the left-hand column, we have a OneDrive admin section. So if you are the workplace administrator or the cloud admin for your Office team, you can go in here and change some of the settings, again, around the recycle bin times, around retention policies, and around sharing compatibility and access. As well, we've got a link for getting the OneDrive apps. So if you want the OneDrive app on your Windows PC, if you want to get a link emailed to you for the Google Play or iOS App Store, you can do that from here as well. Okay, along the top here, we've got a ribbon that will change behaviors and change buttons as we navigate through the OneDrive interface. But to start here, again, we're just back in our files directory. We have a new button that we can create a new folder, perhaps to organize things in a way that makes sense for us. As well, because this is Office 365, we can go ahead and create a new Word document, Excel, PowerPoint, or OneNote notebook. Those will all load the web browser versions of those documents, those particular programs, sorry. As well, we can create a new forms, or we can add a link. This is quite helpful if you have a link that you want to remember and store outside of your browser. You can add this as a pseudo type of favorites bar, favorites list here inside of your OneDrive. As well, we've got an upload button. You can upload individual files from your PC, or you can upload whole complete folders from your PC. We have the sync button, which will launch the PC sync, the OneDrive for Business sync application. We'll go over that in just a few minutes. And then we have our flow button here. And if you tuned into my flow webinar in the past, we do know that we can create some compelling workflows here around document conversion, as well as document approval workflows. So some interesting stuff here that you can create using the flow button. You can make your new flows, and you can see your existing flows here. So let's get into the main panel here, sort of the main section of the OneDrive app here on the web. We do have folders in this particular example, and you can go in and out of these folders the same way you would expect in any sort of file or folder explorer application. As well, we can select the check mark here on the leftmost column of the files view, and you can see now that the ribbon again has changed behaviors because we do have a document selected. So now we can open this document, we can open it in the browser, or we can open it in the full Microsoft Word application. We can go ahead and share it, and we'll come back to that in just a moment. We can copy the link, and that's going to copy a OneDrive link, and that will be unique to you. You won't be able to share that link necessarily. You can download the file, delete, rename, move to, which is compelling. Instead of dragging and dropping folders in the web interface, we use the move to button. As well, if you want to copy this into another location, you can use the copy to function. And behind the more commands button here, the 3 dots, we have 2 interesting buttons here as well. Again, using the flow, we can copy this file to a PDF. It's in a Word document right now. Or we can do the request sign-off workflow, which will trigger something out perhaps to our boss, perhaps to a C-level executive, for us to sign off on this annual financial report before we release it to the public, for example. Version history is also kind of neat. Again, because we are creating so much content and so many documents throughout the day, it can be helpful to see when and where a document was changed. So we can see here that the 1.0 versions of this document was initially created on September 16th, but you can see that our user here also edited it about 45 minutes ago, and by doing so created version number 2. Perhaps we want to revert to version number 1. We can do so here just by clicking on this blue 1.0 link, and that'll take us back to the original document before we made the changes that we did today. So quite a helpful feature if you want to go back and undo in a bulk way changes that you made to a document. And again, this is all powered by SharePoint Online, running behind the scenes, sort of powering the OneDrive experience. One last thing I want to show you here on this interface is this eye with a circle around it. That's the details pane for any particular document. And there is a ton of useful information here in this view. It does pull out a panel here on the right-hand side of our browser, but we can see kind of a scrollable quick preview of the document. You can see what's on the first few pages of it. You can see who you've given access to it and even manage the access here, the permissions that we've given. We can see some basic properties about this document. So we see its title and its name. We can apply retention labels if we use those in our business. We can see sort of a trail of activity here where we edited this document now 46 minutes ago, and 3 weeks ago is when we created and shared this file with these particular people. We've got some other details here that are really exciting for more of the nerdy crowd, but we can see that this is a docx file. It was modified 40 minutes ago, and here's our path to this file in our OneDrive. And here we can see the size. It's 22.2 kilobytes total. So some interesting, compelling information here on the details panel, and we get that by clicking this eye with a circle around it when we have a file selected here in OneDrive. Okay, so let's jump back now to that share button, as we covered just about a moment ago. Not only is OneDrive a secure place to store your information, your documents and whatnot, it is also a secure and robust way of sharing out documents. Now, if you're familiar with Dropbox or iCloud, sort of all these different cloud-based storage offerings have some sharing capabilities built in. But the cool thing about Office 365 and OneDrive and that pairing is that it can be tied to people that are in your organization or people that are outside of your organization, and you can sort of handle appropriate trust relationships, again, based on people being inside your org or not. So on this particular Word document, I've gone now and clicked the share button. We get the send link dialog here. And sort of the first question is one of the most important ones. It's who do you really want to share this with? So anyone with the link, and we can appropriate some settings here. We can leave this to people just inside of our organization, so people in Contoso. We can see people with existing access, or we can specify people too. We can say trust nobody but this person, that person, for example. So by default, anyone with the link is usually selected. And then here are our other settings that we have. So maybe we don't want anyone else to edit this. We only want them to read it. We can set an expiration date, so perhaps the end of the week. We don't want anyone to view this after that. We can go ahead here and set a password if we want to. So anyone that does get a link, you do have a second layer of security. And you can even go as far as blocking the download. So anyone, again, that gets this link can't edit it. They can only read it. Their access would expire on Friday, October 11th. and they wouldn't be able to download a copy of the file. They would just be able to read it in their browser. So some compelling security options here. Once we go ahead and set those up, now we can enter a name or an email address that will fire them out a link, or we can go ahead here and copy the link, paste it into any other application, maybe a chat window, for example, or we can click this button here and pull up a Outlook window if our Office 365 and Exchange Online are not connected to each other. And for the most part, if we go back to the ribbon here, as far as the copy, download, delete, rename, move features, those are going to work the same way if you're used to using File Explorer in Windows, any common File Explorer, even in the Mac. Those commands should be fairly straightforward and ring a bell for you. One thing that's cool here, you can select multiple files in your OneDrive. So if you have a whole swath of things that you do either want to share, delete, move, for example, keep yourselves organized, you can do that. As well, we can take a whole bunch of files and drop them into a folder, sort of that drag and drop. We're all sort of used to that behavior as well. Okay, let's switch gears now and look at the mobile side of OneDrive for Business. Here I'm on a Samsung Android device, but rest assured, all you Apple fans, your iDevice will function and look just about the same here as the Android app. Now, there is only one app available from Microsoft for OneDrive, so you don't have to worry about connecting OneDrive to OneDrive for Business or OneDrive on the consumer side of things. If you use OneDrive at home for your personal life, for storing things at home like files and photos, your photo backup, rest assured here that you can have both types of accounts in this single app, and it even does let you keep work and home life separate. So again, I just clicked at the top here on the briefcase icon, and you can see that this is my work account, the Contoso account, but I could add a personal OneDrive storage account here too if I wanted to, and that's how you'd switch between them in the app here on Android. So up at the top, we also do have an add button. If you click that, you can see the different activities that we can take and store into our OneDrive. We can take a photo, we can scan, we can create a folder and upload, as well as giving us quick links to create a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation, because I do have those mobile apps installed on my smartphone. We're going to get into take a photo and scan in just a few minutes, but you can see here already that on the go, you don't have to sacrifice any of your productivity or organization. If you got a few minutes, maybe as you're waiting for a plane, you can clean up your OneDrive and even create folders and even upload documents from your phone, maybe outputs or videos that came from different apps that you've created here. As well as part of the enterprise search that I was mentioning here, we do have search capabilities inside of OneDrive, even on the mobile app. So let's just go ahead and put in a few things here. See if we get any results for September. So you can see that inside of the employee engagement plan and the CE annual report, somewhere along the lines, some user quoted SEPT, maybe referring to September, maybe referring to separate, who knows. But that text is used somewhere in those documents. So not only are we searching the documents' titles and headlines, we're actually searching the content inside of those documents as well. So let's go back here, just back to the main files view. You can see here as well, a very similar way to how the web app is organized. We have different ways of sorting the files. So right now we're sorting A to Z, but we can sort by newest, oldest, largest, all those different types of things, all the way down to extensions. We can group different types of documents together. We can see them here in a list view, or we can see them here in a grid view with nice folders and larger thumbnails of images, for example. And then down here at the bottom of the screen, we have a few more menus on this ribbon. We have our files view, we have our recent view. So we can see here, once we pull this up, we should see that we were working on some different documents just a few minutes ago on the web interface. We can see here under the shared section, and these are files that you have shared and are shared with you. In the same manner, we had the libraries available to us in OneDrive for Business on the web. We have those here. So again, if you're not using the Teams app on your mobile phone, you should, but you can also pull up those files here in the OneDrive for Business app. And then there's the Me section. This is sort of your account information where you can view your file. You can turn on and off synchronization for your camera. So if this is a work-only phone and I'm not doing anything personal on it, I may turn that on. So every picture I take, good chances it's work-related. I'd want that to be backed up to my OneDrive. We have the option to make files available offline, and we're going to talk about that in just a couple of minutes. We can access our recycle bin, again, sober second thought if we delete something and need to get it back. And then there's general settings and help and suggestions and a button for signing out of the mobile app. So back here to files, let's explore probably my favorite feature here of the OneDrive for Business mobile app. Okay, so you probably have noticed this blue round icon here, bottom of the app in the lower right-hand corner. That is a document scanner. We're not going to neglect that feature here. It's actually one of my favorites of OneDrive and the mobile apps here. And you can see down on the bottom of the app, once it turns into this camera mode, you can tell the application what it is exactly that you're trying to take a picture of. So if we select business card here, you see this blue rectangle is doing its best to sort of crop out where the business card is and where sort of my desk begins from there. We can also do this for documents, which is quite cool. So maybe we go over a piece of paper like this, and you can see that the camera is doing its best to capture everything that's in that document. If we go ahead and take a picture, it's going to crop out everything, and it's going to do its best to deskew and sort of square out the document that we picked. Now, the neat thing is we can go ahead and do a couple of things with this image from here. We can go ahead and rotate it as you would expect with an image editor. We can go ahead and do some drawing on here. Perhaps we see this document out at a trade show and we want to borrow some of this content for something of our own. We can go ahead and do multi-page scanning. So if there was a backside of this brochure that we wanted to take a picture of, we could do that with the Add New button there lower left. But for this case, let's just go ahead and say done. And what OneDrive is going to do is save this. We just want to save it in our folder, but we could go ahead and save it in any of our other directories. We'll go ahead and save that up, and it's actually going to send it up to OneDrive as a PDF document. So from there, we could head back to the office and perhaps pull this up on a boardroom screen, on a bigger screen. We could share this out with colleagues. We could further annotate it in the OneDrive web app and the PDF viewer that comes with that. But you can see quite a handy tool as you're on the go. If you're at a trade show and you're like me, I'm sure you end up with a pocket full of business cards by the end of it. You can go ahead and take those pictures and save all of those here in your OneDrive rather than the big bulky business card holder of years and decades past. Okay, let's take that document grab sort of full circle here. Again, we're back in the web app on OneDrive through our Office 365 portal. I've got our files sorted so that the newest is on the top, and you can see here a couple new ones. I added a URL for profit.ca in case you want to get to that website quickly from your OneDrive. And then you can see here's our scan. It's going to date and timestamp that, and you can see these three little blue lines. That's meant to show us that this is a new item in our OneDrive. So we'll go ahead and open that scan. Again, it saves it as a PDF. It's going to save our sort of highlighting here with the green pen. And now you're off to the races and you can start working on the Office 365 licensing guide, and that is some fun stuff. Again, the ribbon's going to change based on the file and the different activities and the context sensitive menus. So we can go ahead and open this again in a browser. It's not going to work, but if we had Acrobat installed, we could open that up in the PDF viewer of our choice. We can go ahead and print, and we can go ahead and download as well. So again, context-sensitive menus will change when you are inside a document viewing that in your browser as well. The last and certainly not least with OneDrive for Business, I do want to touch on the synchronization options we do have with your PC, laptop, those types of devices. Here I'm showing you the Windows, what they're going to look like, and the dialog boxes, what they're going to look like on Windows 10. But you can certainly connect Windows 8 machines. If you're still using a legacy Windows 7 device, this is a good way to back it up and get your files into the cloud. And rest assured, Mac folks, that this will work as well for you. So here is the sync files from your OneDrive. If you recall, on the ribbon we had a button called Sync. Clicking that is going to deliver this dialog box to your PC. And you can select which files that are already in your OneDrive that you want to sync down to your PC. And those files will then appear in a OneDrive section of your Windows File Explorer window, and you can go and grab those files in a very natural way if you're used to getting files and navigating through File Explorer, even through the File Open menu in many applications. You'll be able to see OneDrive, and you'll be able to see all of your folders available to you there as well. One other nifty thing you can do here, and this is in the settings section of the OneDrive Windows application, you can set up autosave, and this is huge to drive behavior or to sort of correct a behavior that's been driven to us over the past 20 or so years of using Windows. Is we all save documents to our desktop, we all save work documents to the My Documents folder, and we all put stuff in the Pictures folders. And again, if you dump that latte over your laptop or someone steals your PC, traditionally those files would be gone with the wind. What we can do here with the autosave is, even though we may not be correcting the behavior and saving things on our desktop, everything that's in the desktop, in the Documents folder, or in the Pictures folder can get backed up automatically to OneDrive. So again, some peace of mind, helps you sleep at night in case your document does, or your device does get stolen. Last but not least here in this sort of category of dialogues is something called OneDrive Files on Demand. This is if you have a laptop or a device, maybe even a tablet with less than ample amount of storage. If you don't want to download all of the files that are in your OneDrive to that device and fully sync them that way, what you'll notice as you browse files is a few different icons. There's a cloud icon, the blue two-way arrows, and a green check mark. And as you use files from your OneDrive, the cloud will change through down to the green check mark. The green check mark means that file is stored on your PC as well as your OneDrive. If it's got the cloud, it means it's just the OneDrive, and sort of just a preview or the metadata of that file is showing. And the blue sort of sync icon means that you'll keep an offline file of that on your PC, which is synchronized with the cloud. So no matter what device you use to make a change, OneDrive will automatically keep all of your devices updated with a file. And that's huge. If you're using a device and you want to go on a plane but still want to review some reports, if you're going into an area that you know has bad cell coverage and no Wi-Fi, you can take your important files with you. Great example is a traveling salesperson. If they want to keep brochures or other sales literature on their device, they can use that, and they'll always have an up-to-date copy if they make changes on other devices, as an example. So quick recap of everything that we've gone through here on OneDrive for Business. Hugely powerful component of Office 365. Use it, please. Great to securely back up your work-related documents. Again, device theft, some things like cryptoviruses or accidents that happen with our devices. You can rest assured that your documents are backed up to the cloud. Doesn't have to be Microsoft documents. It can be videos, pictures, it can be PDFs, it can be websites, URLs, text files, just about anything that you can create on your PC or Mac and even your smartphone, you can back up to OneDrive for Business. We covered the amazing mobile experience to get information on the go. Again, if you're a traveling salesperson or traveling executive, you need to stay busy, you need to have information at your fingertips, and the OneDrive app for Android and iOS can enable that. We looked at the Office Lens, which is now built into OneDrive for snapping whiteboards, de-skewing business cards and documents, and even adding annotations and markup to those documents as we save them. We did a quick look at the enterprise-grade security, versioning, and sharing capabilities of OneDrive. And again, rest assured that as your team starts to use more of Office 365 and the Microsoft Teams experience, you can get at those files from the OneDrive browser.